Hello everyone, Hachadino over here, and today, even 1 week and a half before the new patch, leak, whatever you want to call, 3.26, I'm already cooking a cool build that I'm going to play. As you might expect, I've been enjoying Flicker Strike for a while, so we are going to do a Banishing Blade, Abyss Stacker, Flicker Strike. The damage is going to be good, but this is only a super idea right now that I'm going to have. The Abyss Jewels, of course, can be better because remember, you can get the 6 affix ones. These are just like kind of baseline. Same for the gloves. These are gloves with like 2 frenzies, but as you can see, even Admiral Arrogance are better than these, and Tom Fists are not that much behind either. Now, of course, you do want one of these two because that way you get more gem sockets. We are going to be very careful on how we use our gem sockets. It's also not a crazy POB. I'm going to leave, of course, it in the description, but we are going to very likely fix all of our resistance issues and other things with jewels themselves, and maybe instead of haste we are going to use grace because we already have quite a little bit of evasion. If we get grace instead of haste, as you can see here, haste is only like 4 million or something DPS, and then if we put grace over here, we get a ton of extra evasion, and this of course with blind inside it, so it's not going to be bad. And with that grace, of course, you can get a lot of evasion and other things. Even on the jewels themselves, you can also get evasion, remember. Now, of course, this is thanks to lightpoacher that we are getting that much damage. As you can see, of course, it's 75 million that we get from lightpoacher itself. And we also have to fix stats and things like that, but it's not hard. And for the lightpoacher itself, I did put +1 power charges, but that is whatever. Now also you might see that I'm a Warden. That's why I'm using these 2 tinctures that are very good. They are of course super effective and with attack speed and multiplier because we don't need penetration as we have a Banishing Blade. This Banishing Blade also seems super good, but it's a tier 3, tier 2 flat, and then tier 4 hybrid, and then attack speed and critical strike chance, and even no multiplier. So let's say it's like a mid-tier one that you could see and craft, like for example, it's going to be pricey, of course, but this is kind of like what I want to have going into tier 17s, and then I'm going to build from there. As you might see, of course, the jewels themselves, I'm going to make a lot of changes. So the DPS, it's like a, let's say, imaginary, but also very important. This is not the DPS you will have at the beginning map because we have 23 spirit charges. I do recommend though, instead of using bottle faith, maybe use another written jar. So you have 4, 6, 8, 12, something like that, and you get them back quite quickly with the Ralakesh and with the replenishing remedies, and you can spam them quite a lot. This is also a 95 level planner, so we have 3 of the cluster jewels that we want. I am not using a flesh and flame combo because any flesh and flame combo that I could try and get, it's less DPS than just using 2 jewels. I could use mediums and it would be a little bit more DPS, but to be honest, traveling to the clusters themselves, it's very useful, and we are getting very strong nodes. And of course, we do want to get to Tribal Fury. This is something that, of course, you would anoint at the beginning while you are not getting over here, and then change it later. Now we are using a mechanic that, if you have seen any Abyss stackers, there are two ways to kind of, let's say, abuse the mechanic. Apart from using worms, you need to be CI and have Archmage and Lifetap, making it so it doesn't proc, or you need to not have enough mana and have Archmage, and the Spirit Burst also won't proc. This makes it, of course, so you can use your ability, but it has to be with Lifetap. You will use the normal ability with Lifetap, and then my Assassin's Mark also with Lifetap. This, of course, makes it so I also need to use my, where it is, here it is, my Berserk with Lifetap. So I would need to have these on my gloves. It will be kind of alone in the gloves, so it will be Assassin's Marks, Lifetap, Berserk, and then another thing alone, likely. So it is if it's one of the auras, so it doesn't get the Lifetap situation. We are low life thanks to Petrified Blood and Arrogance, making it so we have always leech. Remember, if you have less than 50% life and have reserved more than 50 or up to 50, you get that perma effect on your leech, and it enables the strongest mod that we have on Cluster Jewels, called Feed the Fury, giving us attack damage and attack speed. I'm also, of course, using the mark for extra damage and also extra chance of frenzy. You can get Calling Strike on the Warlord Groves if you want. Of course, there is no need for it to be double frenzy. You can have frenzy and calling. For a while, it's going to be more DPS. Like if you see here, if I put Calling Strike, sorry, it's going to give us a lot of DPS, mainly because it's going to kill them up faster, as you don't need the double frenzy. You can also get Calling Strike on your weapon if you leave that suffix alone and then slam a new Elder Orb or Warlord Orb. And then, of course, you can check the Joke Suffering. We want this because it gives a lot of damage, some resistances, that is never bad. And also, we can get just a tattoo of each bleed and poison, even if it's only 5%, to get that extra 10% each on those. We are already igniting, chilling, and shocking. We are fully shocking, and we are freezing sometimes thanks to Hoarfrost. Hoarfrost is this one. Every time I don't freeze, I'm going to get a stack of Hoarfrost, making it so it's possible to freeze even endgame bosses, and it's, of course, also more possible thanks to Hypothermia. We get more chance to freeze enemies that are shield, and the freeze itself, it's going to proc thanks to the duration, making their action speed go even lower. You could have the brittle and things like that instead of it, and use skitterbots instead of hatred. But then you will need to find something else to also get some reservation. Have thought about haste on boots, or getting another aura on the Warrior's Legacy. Warrior's Legacy also, if you don't know, for Flicker Strike, it's kind of like, say, doubling your damage. It's not really doubling because it also has a less speed multiplier on your attack speed. But let's say it's around 40 to 50% more DPS. Like, as you can see, if I take it off, I'm going to do more damage, a little bit more, but I would get this double damage most of the time. Now, I already did some videos, even in PoE 1 and PoE 2 from my Ancestor Commander, and you can see how Warrior's Legacy works. Basically, works with any strike, but you need to move from the initial place a fixed movement to proc it. So you can proc it with flicker on most mobs that have kind of a bigger width, but on mobs that are a little bit, let's say, leaner, it's not going to proc, but it's still very, very good. And it's never bad. It gives some resistances and things like that. But you can get an aura there or on your onset ring. That is also where we are going to get another aura. The onset ring, of course, it's very bare bones. It has no resistances or anything because resistances will come from other places. You can even have a Bismuth Flask here instead of the Lion's Roar, because Lion's Roar is kind of only 10% more melee damage. But also the knockback helps a little bit with the Warrior's Legacy. You can try it, kind of useful. Now for the other uniques, the Textured Gaze is very, very good. Have it with 2% reservation because that helps to get the mana to 1. But you can change things around and other places because you will also need to get more intelligence that will give more mana. That's why this is only, let's say, it's a super initial thing that I will do. I will, of course, update the guide itself when I'm in the league. It's also super endgame, so I don't have any plans of doing mid ones before the league begins. And there's also some things that might change. I really wanted to get the Admiral Arrogance on there because it helps with Berserk a lot. Keep it more up. But if you want to see the full power of it, you can just check the Unbound Avatar and the Berserk. We get from Berserk around 20 million total, 10 million by itself. And then if we come and are unbound, we get another 70 million thanks to those extra 80% more damage. We can also put onslaught because getting onslaught on kill is very easy on our jewels, and also we proc them a lot by popping worms. But I haven't put it because I don't have it on my planner by itself. And if you don't know, of course, this is not cheating. Spirit charges just don't change if you don't have an extra max one. So even if it's 20 something extra here, doesn't change. If you only have 23 Abyss Jewels, it's only going to get 23. Now you have any questions or any other things, you can check out my other builds from Path of Exile. They are from a while ago because the last one I did was the Ancestor Commander. But I'm going to try and get this one rolling, and maybe there are some changes that affect it, but it's quite unlikely. Anything that I'm using here has been in the game for a while, and other things could change. Of course, I also may, instead of getting some cluster jewels, I could go into the place over here where we have a lot of extra jewels also, but that's a thing for another day. Have a nice one, and I will see you on the next video.